Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Sam Babiak, and I'm the Program Director for the Writers League of Texas. I'm here with Ann Calloway, the owner at Front Street Books in Alpine, Texas. And we just want to get to know you and your bookstore a little bit better. And so I guess we'll start with you. And how did you really get into the bookstore business?
Right. I got into the bookstore business about 2 years ago when I bought Front Street Books from the previous owner, Jean Hardy. And Jean has quite a reputation as far as a bookseller. She opened Front Street Books about 22 years ago. As she had it for about 22 years when I bought it. And she had two bookstores. She had one about 30 miles down the road from Alpine in Marathon. And then she also owned Front Street Books. And I had been a good customer for many years. And Jean and I were very close. She had been talking about retiring for some time, and every time we got close to closing on the sale, she would say, I can't do it. It's, it's too painful and personal. And I was patient. I just told her, you come to me, when you're ready, and we'll talk. So that's how I became the owner of Front Street Books. I felt very blessed indeed, and she was a big help. She stayed around, she came to visit, and it's always a pleasure when we see her. So that's how I got into Front Street Books.
Yeah, that's so lovely. You're actually not the first person to say their story, and the bookstore has actually been something that's sort of been passed down to them. And I think that says something about the community that bookstores really foster. And so if you had to describe your bookstore in 3 words, what would they be? And you can describe the community, the store itself, or the mission.
3 words. I don't know if I can come up with 3, but I know I can come up with a couple. Diversity, acceptance, I would like to say classic old town bookstore where customer service is the most important thing. We're blessed to live in a community that in far west Texas that has a state university in our community of 6,000 people. Just down the road 90 miles, we have a Big Bend National Park. And then we have 2 state parks all within the same radius. So it requires us to be diverse in our selection and to not only cater to the locals, but to also cater to the tourism.
Yeah, and that sounds like a big job. And what would you say, since you're talking about, the community and catering to not only the people in your community, but people who pass through, what would you say the responsibility of a bookstore is? And you could talk about specifically your bookstore, or just, bookstores in general.
Well, I think we have a responsibility to the community to, again, I go back to the diversity, to try and have something for everyone at every age, at every stage of life, at least something. We know our locals. We know pretty much what we need for them. Before COVID, we were extremely active in the community with book signings and being a place for people to come and congregate and pass the time. We have a coffee shop that adjoins us that I put in after I bought the bookstore, and that really helped the flow. Now, since COVID, we did close for about 3 weeks. We had to kind of figure out what our new normal was. And having closed, it was a really good idea because it gave us our sea legs to reopen under the new norms. So we might want to talk about that, what a challenge it's been since COVID. We were probably one of the first businesses in Alpine that required a face mask. And then I was there at the door to greet every customer, to welcome them, but to also require the face mask. And I was the one dispensing hand sanitizer. We now have the freestanding ones, and now there's, it's more of a citywide mask. So we don't have to turn anyone away, but it wasn't really difficult to turn people away that didn't have masks, but we did provide them if they didn't have them. And if they didn't want to take a face mask to come in, a free face mask or hand sanitizer, we just knew that our safety and our mental health was more important than making a sale. So we've grown with that, and our customers have come to expect it. And of course, now it's much more accepted. So those challenges, we've been able to retain the staff that we had previously. We're a very small independent bookstore. We have 6 part-time employees, but we've been able to accommodate them the best way that we can, in the sense that they have families that come first, and we are certainly accepting of that. And so we are able to accommodate schedules because reduced hours. But of course, the employees are the most important part. They're what enable us to be who we are. I do have to brag a minute. Julie Green was with the former owner for 18 years. And I would not have been able to purchase the bookstore if it hadn't been for her and her commitment of staying on and being the manager. And so she's now been with Front Street Books for over 20 years. And she's really the backbone. And she's one of the most integral parts of certainly our bookstore. And that's been a real a deal breaker for me, because I couldn't have bought the bookstore if she hadn't stayed on. I've just been a lifelong reader, but certainly never knew anything about the book business.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all of that. And so you mentioned that there is a coffee store that you added to your bookstore. And personally, if there's a coffee store in a bookstore, it makes it very, very hard to leave. And so I'm wondering, what is your favorite section of the store?
I would have to say new releases and bestsellers. We have a whole section of staff picks. That's always fun to keep that fresh. But bestsellers and new releases come to mind, along with staff picks.
Yeah, great. And so besides books, bookstores sell all kinds of things: games, mugs, magnets. And so I'm wondering, what's one thing that you sell that you love to see customers buy?
I had a whole different business model from the previous owner. So my emphasis was much more on books and nothing else. And Julie was all for me on that. And so together we focused on books. But with COVID, we have really got into the puzzles, and we have a great selection of puzzles. And I feel like book people kind of go with puzzle people, and the same type of people that like to do puzzles are challenged with puzzles are also readers. So that's one of the things I like to sell, are some of the beautiful artistic, everything from lost word puzzles to masterpieces of art. So puzzles, I would say puzzles.
Awesome. I love puzzles. I'll have to buy a puzzle from you guys. And so this is our last question. Is there anything else that you'd like folks to know about your bookstore?
I think it's with COVID, it's been so challenging, but we made a commitment that we would put our entire inventory online. So our frontstreetbooks.com is a shopping site also, and we think we have every item in our inventory online, and that was challenging. And but it has certainly improved our chances of bottom line profit and loss. So that I think all of the challenges that we have with COVID, we're going to get through it. And I truly believe that it's brought people back to books. COVID has brought people back to books. And so that's what I hope, that post-COVID, that we're stronger than ever. And we're trying to build on that base. And hopefully we'll still be around long after COVID passes through.
Yeah, we're rooting for you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
That was
One other thing is that there were many years in which Jean hosted a Texas Writers convention in Alpine and utilized Sul Ross State University facilities. After COVID, well, before COVID, we were planning on asking to see, we were starting to kick tires to see if we could do something like that. After COVID, I hope that we can host a writers convention, a Texas Writers Convention again. We would like to be more proactive in that kind of thing also.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much.